Hi, explorers. I'm Daniel Carter, and we're deep in the early Cretaceous, about 11.3 million years ago. We're in what is now Victoria, Australia. Our focus is Leaellynasaura amicographica, a small ornithopod dinosaur. This one is just past childhood, suddenly forced to survive alone after sickness and storms break up its herd. The long, cold polar night is coming. This Leaellynasaura faces a choice. Take the risk and migrate south, or try to endure months of near darkness and biting cold in the forest. Each path is dangerous in a different way. Everything depends on the decision it makes next. Will it find a way to survive, or will the polar night claim another life? This is the story of a dinosaur pushed to the edge by nature's hardest test. Our Leaellynasaura isn't fully grown, but it already knows how fast things can go wrong. Just days before, it was surrounded by its kind, feeding together, moving as one, as the days grew shorter. Then, a strange illness swept through the group. One by one, herd mates slowed, then stopped. Some vanished into the gloom. On top of that, a late-season storm battered the trees, drenching the ground and scattering the survivors. Now, only scattered individuals remain. The forest, once noisy and busy, is much quieter. The young Leaellynasaura senses only distant movement now. Other plant-eaters might be out there, but the pull of the old group is gone. The cold creeps in earlier each afternoon. The sun barely climbs above the treetops now, and night seems to last forever. Leaellynasaura scans the woods for familiar shapes or signs. None. It searches for edible leaves and soft stems, but green food is already scarcer. Whenever it finds a patch, it must eat quickly and stay alert. Hearing a distant rustle, it freezes, heart thumping. This time, it's only a breeze stirring shriveled ferns. I'll pause here to explain what we know. Leaellynasaura was small and herbivorous. Scientists know these dinosaurs lived in polar regions in the Cretaceous. Fossil evidence shows they were adapted for life near the South Pole, dealing with cold, long periods of darkness and seasonal change. But we don't know exactly how social or solitary they were. Herd behavior makes sense for plant eaters, but individual survival stories would be common, especially when disasters hit. For this young dinosaur, losing the safety of the group is a serious blow. Alone, it has to notice threats and find food without help. It also can't rely on others to help spot predators or show the best hiding spots. But the biggest challenge is time. The nights are still getting longer. Soon, even at noon, the world will be dim. Temperatures will keep dropping. Survival will depend on picking the right strategy, move or stay put. As the darkness stretches, a decision is forced. Some animals, mostly older ones, are already drifting south, toward regions rumored to stay warmer a little longer. But the journey is dangerous, and food might run out halfway. Staying means hiding under roots, waiting for the light to return, and surviving on scraps and luck. Each option is risky, but something has to give. Our Leaellynasaura watches the few last herd mates disappear south. It hesitates. It's not sure what lies ahead, but knows the forest is emptying. Instinct pushes it to follow. On uncertain legs, the dinosaur sets out, picking a slow, careful route. Every sound in the brittle undergrowth triggers alarm. Staying alert is now everything. Presenter here. This part of the world was already cold and challenging in this era. Umarala Formation fossil sites show a mix of animal fossils, including Leaellynasaura, that lived in high-latitude environments. In winter, these forests would have experienced months of darkness, like today's northern and southern polar regions. Adaptations to darkness and cold might include good low-light vision and the ability to eat tough winter plants. But the fossil record doesn't give us details about every behavior. Our best evidence hints at survival under tough, ever-changing conditions. Day by day, the young dinosaur moves through the forest, heading southward, but never far from shelter. It keeps to the tree line, weaving around fallen logs and using patches of low brush as hiding places. It nibbles at frozen plant matter, crumbly leaves, leftover shoots, and the occasional fungus or root. Every new food stretch is a victory, and every empty patch is a problem. One evening, the wind picks up, howling through the open canopy. It carries strange scents. Leaellynasaura crouches low, senses on high alert. For hours, it barely moves, aware of dangers it can't see, possible predators, or simply other lost dinosaurs desperate for food. With each passing day, the silence grows deeper. Once, this dinosaur would have slept surrounded by the herd. Now, sleep means curling under a mass of tangled roots, trembling, always half awake. When the opportunity comes, it eats quickly, then moves on. Competition for food has faded as most animals have left or fallen ill, but now there's no safety in numbers. The young dinosaur knows it can't stay in one place too long. The chill deepens. The canopy lets in barely any light. The world is a shadow, broken only by the faint glimmer of snow and frost. Here's a quick fact check from me. We don't have fossil footprints or nests showing direct migration routes for Leaellynasaura, but polar regions force hard choices, move toward sunlight, or tough it out, where food and warmth are running out. Fossils do show these animals survived in polar regions for millions of years. Some scientists think they may have migrated seasonally, while others believe they could endure the long, dark winter using unique behavioral tricks. Our dinosaur is still traveling when the weather suddenly shifts. Snow falls, thickening the air. Movement slows even more. Every step is harder as the ground turns slick and icy. The dinosaur seeks extra shelter for the night and finds a hollow under a fallen trunk, squeezed close to the earth. It is not a perfect hiding spot, but the darkness is total and predators are less active in this cold snap. After 2 long, shivering nights, the worst of the snow has passed. The forest is even emptier. The Leaellynasaura stands up weakly, every limb tired, but staying put isn't an option. The daytime hours are now barely brighter than dusk. Food grows even scarcer. Faint tracks show that nothing else has passed this way for some time. The dinosaur faces a split in its journey. Continue south and face more open ground, with even less cover, or double back toward thicker woods in hope of hidden food pockets. Weighing the options, it chooses the shadier, tangled route. Dense trees offer more hiding places, and a few rotting logs where green matter sometimes survives. Presenter context. Choosing where to go is never easy. For plant eaters in harsh climates, dense plant cover can mean the difference between life and death. Not only does it offer shelter and food, but it also hides them from potential predators, whose presence is always possible, even if we don't know exactly what hunted Leaellynasaura here. The dinosaur forages through a patch of matted stems, finding a handful of edible material. Its energy returns briefly. Every meal, however small, is precious. As it feeds, something stirs nearby. The young dinosaur freezes. It's another Leaellynasaura, also alone, perhaps another survivor that split off during the storm and sickness. The 2 dinosaurs don't approach closely. Both are watchful. Survival has made them cautious, maybe even suspicious. Still, the presence of another living animal, even at a distance, is a comfort. Both nibble, keeping each other in sight, and as daylight finally fades, each finds its own shelter nearby. That night, the cold is slightly easier to bear, even if only thanks to the faint sound of another dinosaur breathing somewhere close in the darkness. For our main character, it is a small taste of the safety missing since the herd disappeared. Over the next few days, the forest offers some signs of support. The rough partnership with the other dinosaur is distant but steady. They forage separately but within sight, sometimes approaching, sometimes veering apart. If one startles, both take cover, and each seems to test food patches before the other dares move in. Presenter context. Teamwork among plant eaters, even informal cooperation, makes sense in places with high survival pressure. Many modern herbivores form temporary groups in tough seasons, and even unrelated individuals can benefit from sharing risk by staying near each other. But as even more days pass, tragedy strikes. The other dinosaur is suddenly missing. No sign in the undergrowth or along the ice-crusted patches where they fed. The reality of solitary life returns, sharper than before. If there are threats out there, they come silently, or else the companion finally gave up and moved in a new direction. Now, the young Leaellynasaura is traveling on willpower alone. It relies on its memory of food-rich places and learned routines for finding shelter as the polar night becomes almost total. Its world is now silent, food is scarce, and each day is harder than the last. There are no clear paths, only a string of desperate choices. Presenter here, Leaellynasaura and its polar environment remind us that even small changes can threaten a whole way of life. Bone studies of these dinosaurs show signs of seasonal stress, with periods of slow growth that might link to food shortages in winter. This means even with the right adaptations, survival here pushed animal bodies to their limits. The darkest weeks arrive. Most of the time, it's a matter of keeping warm under whatever cover is left, root-filled hollows, gaps under mossy logs, or even snowdrifts. Moving burns precious energy, but sitting still means freezing. Our dinosaur shivers and endures, day after endless day, sometimes eating bark or any plant left soft enough to chew. At times, the hunger is nearly overwhelming. Yet, in this deep cold, Leaellynasaura's luck changes. One dusk, searching under a rotting log, it finds a cache of withered leaves and coiled stems, remnants blown here by wind and trapped in the hollow. There is enough to fill its belly and still have food for a second meal. That simple discovery means a brief return of strength, a chance to outlast the hardest part of winter. Presenter context. Moments like these are what makes the difference. Even one small patch of nutritious plant material can let an animal pull through when things look hopeless. As the days begin to stretch a little longer, there are even hints of brighter sky above. The young Leaellynasaura holds on, now thinner and slower but still moving. The worst danger, the endless night and hunger, has passed. Once it considered migrating farther, but would never have survived the exposure without steady shelter and luck. When early spring light finally filters through the canopy, the forest is a changed place. Many familiar individuals are gone. Some will never return. Those who survived, like our Leaellynasaura, must now rebuild routines and rediscover where new food is growing. For this dinosaur, the hard experience of independent survival has reshaped its life forever. As our episode closes, I want to leave you with a key idea. Most fossils show us only the bones, not the stories behind survival. But by looking at growth marks, comparing ancient climates, and thinking about what adaptations were needed, scientists can piece together how dinosaurs like Leaellynasaura managed when the world turned dark and cold. This animal's struggle is a story of resilience, a reminder that in nature, the smallest survivors make the biggest gamble when seasons change. That's all for today. I'm Daniel Carter. Join me next time as we explore more untold stories from the age of the dinosaurs.